Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning into News 9 Live. It is your one-stop shop, your one-stop destination to track everything that's happening under the sun, especially with a keen focus on what's happening in India, domestic news, but we'll also touch upon some international aspects as well. We have a list of stories that we're tracking at the moment, so stay tuned with us. First and foremost, without wasting any time, and do stay on because we're covering an expansive set of news for all the viewers out there. Do get down in the comment section and help us understand what your opinion is like on all these stories. We'll of course love to hear what your opinions are, and if there's a news piece, if there's a particular debate that you think we should bring to you, we'll try our best to bring you a balanced perspective on that topic. But first and foremost, let's shift our focus to Himachal Pradesh. We'll also talk about Uttarakhand, but focusing on Himachal Pradesh here, Varghese, because more than 70 people have died. The estimated loss has been estimated at around 10,000 crore rupees.
That is
now.
Huge amount
That's
of money.
huge,
That
absolutely huge.
At.
Landslides
and
after landslides.
After landslides.
Chief Minister taking stock of the situation.
Shimla is on the edge. In fact, many parts of Shimla, there are questions being raised whether there is subsidence happening in Shimla as well. There has been an institute which was saying its road, it seems to be cracking up, and they suspect that the soil underneath the mountain ranges especially is being leached out, and that has resulting in a reorganization of the topography in that place. So the topographical change is quite intense in Shimla area right now, especially after this heavy rains have happened. And
look at that, 21 deaths reported just from the 3 landslides in Shimla.
That is only the landslide part of it.
Only the landslides, absolutely. And we're learning there's another cloudburst that has happened in Himachal Pradesh. We were earlier looking at the Chief Minister's reaction, and we'll of course play that reaction very soon. But before that, talking about the damage and destruction on the ground. Not happening for the first time, pretty much the third time Himachal is going through something like this. 21 people dead in landslides in Shimla alone. This is Krishnanagar.
The brunt of it is in Shimla. The brunt of it in Shimla, we are seeing several known areas. I think this visual is iconic of what exactly has happened. And mind you, this is happening just 1.5 months. Earlier, we were actually showing the same kind of situation where rivers were bursting its bank, the same kind of rivers that were bringing in the mountain soil and eroding several buildings and crashing them.
So landslides in Himachal Pradesh and rain fury in Himachal Pradesh. On the other hand, in Uttarakhand, the rivers are at stake. Massive flooding in Uttarakhand, but not a lot of...
These are flash floods, by the way.
These are flash floods, absolutely. Even as we're learning that, another, Buddha Baba Dham Yatra has begun under heavy security. Several other Dham Yatras have begun, but over
Chardham
here...
Yatra had to be held for some time because of
take a look at the visuals, Varghese. One also has to take a look at the fact that the Chief Minister has been having sleepless nights. He's been on the helicopters, taking survey, taking stock of situations. But landslides and the subsidence angle that you spoke about, subsidence.
It's a very, very, sensitive ecological zone that we are looking at when it comes to Uttarakhand and Himachal. And they're also one of the youngest mountains in the world. So I think we need to keep looking at it from a point of view where it needs to be critically assessed as to whether this urbanization that has cropped up in the last 20-25 years, because the Himachal CM did make that statement. He said that unscientific nature of development and building construction is what is leading to the disastrous situation that we see in Himachal.
Unscientific planning and building leading to a scientific destruction. Take a look at this, Varghese. I mean, anything and everything from boulders to...
This is what I'm saying. It's like a moving concrete.
Sludge.
It's like a moving concrete that you see over here.
It is moving concrete, most certainly. And no wonder the death toll is rising. I mean, compare, a collective sum of the death toll between both these, states. And it's a Himalayan task, let me tell you. 75 odd people that have been killed in Himachal Pradesh. And in totality, almost above 80 people that have been killed in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh together. Rescue operations in the wee hours of the day coming across from Chamoli. And you got to give it to the NDRF, the SDRF, the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force. They've all been deployed.
And this, the risky part of the NDRF personnel also, they have to tread very carefully because the soil, once the landslide happens, is still considered to be dangerous because it could have a cascading effect further down. So they have, as they tread into this vegetation, soil and debris mixed, kind of a situation, trying to find out for survivors. They're actually risking their lives being in that spot. So it is kudos to them that some kind of rescue operation is there. And it's not only the NDRF, the SDRF, the army personnel, all are there. Some of them had to come with gas cutters. Okay, these were the visuals that I was talking about, how you can see.
This is in Dehradun.
Dehradun. This is the kind of house collapse that we are seeing in Dehradun. And this is because there is reports of saying that, you know, the land is technically changing. Basically, the topography is changing.
In Uttarakhand as well, Varghese, Joshimath has been seen the formation of cracks. Now formation of cracks coming across from Himachal Pradesh as well. Look at this, they're already shifting the weight off of these areas because it might just collapse any day.
A lot of these houses, especially whatever is left with them, they're trying to in fact salvage as much as possible. There have been several houses that have collapsed, and all this because of the cracks. First it appears as cracks, later of course the structure becomes unstable and collapses.
It's a big question mark on the kind of construction that we're carrying out in our Himalayan states. We're pressurizing the land, cracks are appearing, commercialization. I mean, a long weekend and you want to go to the hills. Any holiday or vacation that comes, you want to go to the hills. The traffic, the cars, the hotels, the resorts.
Kabir, the thing is, I was speaking to some of the people and, you know, they were saying there is something called as a topography that has a kind of stability. So when you have unplanned development, you tend to affect that stable topography. And once that stable topography gets affected, when you have rains like this is how the situation comes in front of you. It comes in terms of landslides. It comes in terms. So this topography imbalance that they have created with unbridled development and unscientific kind of construction activity, they have not even looked at the soil, whether it is loose enough or it is solid enough to sustain weight. So on a loose soil, when you keep building and you start keeping a lot of, you start applying weight on it, it becomes too loose when when the water is absorbed into it. So it slides because there is a weight on top of it. It's basic, you know, the basic understanding of science.
There's a reaction coming across from the Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Sukhwinder Singh. Let's quickly listen into what the Chief Minister has to say.
देखिए, सरकार पूरा प्रयास कर रही है. अब जितनी जाने गई है उससे अधिक जाने ना जाए. रोड रिस्टोरेशंस हो, टेम्परेरी हमने सब रोड रिस्टोरेशंस का काम युद्ध स्तर पर कर दिया और मेजॉरिटी रोड्स को, लिंक रोड्स को हम खोलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं ताकि बागवान का सेब मंडियों तक पहुंचे. मैं हिमाचल से चुने हुए सारे चारों सांसदों से ये पूछना चाहता हूं कि इस राज्य में इतनी बड़ी आपदा आई है और पार्लियामेंट सेशन लगा है. आप राजनीति करने की बजाय वहां से हमें अंतरिम मदद बनाने के लिए आज तक क्यों नहीं मिले? हालांकि जेपी नड्डा जी ने हमेशा फोन करके पूछा है. पिछली बारी आपदा में उनका भी, अनुराग जी का भी फोन आया था, लेकिन आज तक चारों संसद इकट्ठे होकर तो मिल नहीं पाए कि राज्य में आपदा है, अंतरिम राहत की पहली किस्त दो, और राजनीति कर रहे हैं. इससे बड़ी आपदा नहीं आएगी. राजनीति करने के लिए और समय मिला है. अभी हमारे 70 होंगे, चुनाव होंगे तो राजनीति करना. इस समय मेरा सिर्फ ध्यान आपदा से प्रभावित लोगों के घर बसाना है, आपदा से प्रभावित लोगों के जो राहत हमारे पास अपने संसाधनों से वो पहुंचाना है, और उनके जो जख्म है, जिस आदमी ने अपना घर तिनका तिनका जोड़कर बनाया होता है, अगर वो उजड़ जाए, सिर्फ उनके जख्मों को अभी टेम्परेरी मरहम लगाकर उन्हें दोबारा से बसाने का निर्णय हमारी सरकार का कृत संकल्प है और हम इस दिशा में काम कर रहे थे.
रिलीफ कैंप्स कहाँ
सभी हिमाचल प्रदेश में जहाँ है रिलीफ कैंप हमारे युद्ध स्तर पर चल रहे हैं, और उन रिलीफ कैंप के बाद उनको बसाने का भी दायित्व हमारा है.
Progressive words coming across, of course, from the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, but the rescue operations, Varghese, I mean, people are still feared, trapped beneath rubbles. The temple that collapsed in Himachal Pradesh, the entire residential areas that collapsed.
14 in Shimla, especially the temple collapse. They're saying 14 bodies have been recovered so far, and they fear that there could be more. So still rescue operations.
Yesterday we saw those rescue shots of people being evacuated, airlifted by the choppers. It's almost like an adventure sport over there. Of course, now you're grappling with death more than ever, and the death toll is considerably rising. But kudos to all the agencies on the ground, the NDRF, the SDRF, Indian Army, the Indian Air Force. They've all been working tirelessly over the last 3 days. Over 350 people have been evacuated.
The Indian Air Force has been going to areas that cannot be accessed at all because the bridges have been washed away, the roads have been washed away, and there are medical emergencies that are there, and the only way of access for people who have been completely marooned because of this has been the Indian Air Force, and they have been deploying their helicopters, and helicopter rescue services have been also been initiated. You know, during this bad inclement weather also, they have carried out very risky sorties to evacuate people from these mountainous areas.
Now, News 9, you know, got in touch with, you know, a higher official from the NDRF. We did a little bit of an interview with him. Let's understand from the NDRF, you know, personnel, exactly what are the challenges. You know, various heavy machineries that are being incorporated, helicopters, choppers, massive amounts of boots that have been deployed on the ground. Let's listen in to what the NDRF perspective here is. How challenging is the rescue operations? How big of a task it is, the Himalayan task of rescuing, you know, stranded people in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Take a look.
दो जगह है जहाँ पर हमारी टीमों की ज़्यादा तैनाती की गई है। एक तो कांगड़ा डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जहाँ पर काफ़ी बारिश हुई है और कई घर जो है तबाह हुए, लोग फंस गए पानी के बीच में, वहाँ पर रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस लगातार चला है 2-3 दिन। और दूसरा एक जो शिमला सिटी में जो लैंडस्लाइड हुआ है, 2-3 महत्वपूर्ण स्थान पर लैंडस्लाइड्स हुए हैं, मकान ढह गए हैं, तो उसमें मलबा हटा करके पहले तो जीवित लोगों को निकालना और उसके बाद वहाँ पर मलबे को हटा करके जो डेड बॉडीज़ हैं उनको भी निकालना उतना ही महत्वपूर्ण है। इसमें कठिनाई आती है क्योंकि पहाड़ी इलाके में जो हैवी मशीनरी है उसको नज़दीक से नज़दीक ले जाना अपने आप में एक चुनौतीपूर्ण कार्य है और इसमें एनडीआरएफ के साथ साथ एसडीआरएफ, लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन सभी लगे हुए हैं।
सर, हम देख भी रहे हैं, तस्वीरें भी आ रही हैं जिसमें फोर्सेस भी लगी हुई हैं, आर्म फोर्स भी लगी हुई है, एयर फोर्स और आर्मी भी लगी हुई है। हम सर यहाँ पर देख रहे हैं, आपके हम यहाँ मॉनिटरिंग रूम में हैं एनडीआरएफ के। थोड़ा सा सर हम अगर तस्वीर के ज़रिए समझना चाहें कहाँ कहाँ किस तरीके से थोड़ा काम हो रहा है या कौन सा ज़्यादा रिस्क एरिया बना हुआ है। जैसे बहुत सारे एरिया हैं जहाँ भूस्खलन की भी बहुत ज़्यादा अभी हम देख रहे हैं, तस्वीरें आ रही हैं।
जी बिल्कुल, जो पूरा जनरल एरिया है हिमाचल का, जाहिर सी बात है कि बारिश हुई है और लैंडस्लाइड्स 9-10 जगह हुए हैं, तो एक स्थिति ऐसी हो गई है जिसके लिए हम लोग अलर्ट हैं कि और जगह भी इस तरह की घटनाएं हो सकती हैं। लोगों को अलर्ट किया गया है और इसमें जो आर्मी के कॉलम्स हैं वो भी तैनात किए गए हैं। रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस के लिए एयरफोर्स की भी मदद ली गई है। थोड़ा सा इसमें एक इशू ये ज़रूर आता है कि जब वेदर कंडीशंस ख़राब होते हैं तो उसमें एयरबोर्न ऑपरेशंस भी मुश्किल होते हैं। तो इन सब चैलेंजेस को देखते हुए कार्रवाई की जा रही है और आगे के लिए भी एक रणनीति तैयार की जा रही है जिसमें हम सिचुएशन को देखते हुए उसमें हम जल्दी से जल्दी पहुंच सके वहाँ पर।
Well, all right. Now let's shift our focus over here and let's talk about the flash floods as well, Varghese, because floods have been, you know, wreaking havoc all across the Himalayan states. Take a look at that. Take a look at these visuals, Varghese. That's the helicopter trying to pick up and evacuate people from Kangra. Look at the height at which the helicopter is operating. It's so low because people need that kind of you know, support and relief aid from the Indian Air Force as well. This is what the Indian Air Force is actually doing on the ground. Take a look at that. Words can't describe the kind of danger it is. Firstly, in the Himalayan state, you're flying a chopper, number one. Secondly, you're flying a chopper at such a low height. And thirdly, all these people also, you know, trying to wade through flash floods and trying to enter the helicopter, wading through knee-deep water. This is the situation right now. Again, visuals coming in from Dehradun, where the personnel are on the ground. This is the situation. If you're outside on the streets, this is the situation right now in Dehradun.
Well, in many places in Himachal, especially that visual that I show from Kangra, it is being said that the crops have been completely destroyed. There are several areas in which people had to spend the night on their rooftops because the water had entered and there was no way that there was any letting out of the water happening. This is the kind of situation that we in fact have seen.
This is Muradabad that you're seeing, Varghese, because that's the rippling and the trickling down effect. It has now come down to Muradabad, is what we're learning. This is the situation right now in Muradabad. So even as people are grappling with life pretty much in the hills, life has been thrown out of gear. Again, take a look at that. Kanpur,
this is a stream,
you know, Spate.
If you see the rivers being that, of course, the lower, the people who are staying at the lower end of the river stream, you can in fact see the kind of problems that they face. First of all, there has been a worrisome fact that a lot of agricultural land has been inundated, and especially at a time when we are looking at the harvesting of certain crops. So I think that's going to have
visuals again coming across from Rishikesh. Varghese, your opinion on these visuals, because Rishikesh last time around we saw devastating floods. Again, you can see the destruction. Visuals coming in from Rishikesh.
Well, you can see how the banks have burst and they have actually eroded the sides of those banks. And these are new boundaries that have been set by the river after that huge, but at least, this river seems to become, remember 1.5 months ago when it was really high, it was almost up towards the bridge. Several of the bridges are in
the Ram Jhula, a place that is thronged by various tourists all throughout the year. You've got hundreds of people standing on this particular bridge. It is that famous. And it's a huge connecting point, and below it is flowing this massive river. And once it is in spate, there have been cases where people have fallen into it, and then sometimes they're not even found. And this is Mother Nature's fury at its would you use the word worst here? Gurdaspur, which was coming in from Gurdaspur.
Gurdaspur has been one district, especially in the lower riparian areas.
Completely inundated. And it's not even you can stand and wade through knee-deep water over here, get to where you're trying to go, because the current and the flow of the water, the velocity, it might not look as much right now, but trust me, if you put your feet inside it, it's going to be really a lot to handle.
Well, you can see those visuals out of there in Gurdaspur and from Hoshiarpur and all, where the daily life of people have been completely affected because of these floods. And I think, as I was telling you, the worrisome factor should be that several areas of agricultural land is inundated, and therefore it could have a direct bearing on your wheat, on your other vegetables, and as well as other crops as well. And one of the biggest issues that we are facing is that we are yet to have a number on that agricultural loss that people are seeing over here. The NDRF has and the SDRF are using inflatable boats to reach out to people who are marooned in those locations. And as you can see, Kabir, these are visuals coming in how the IAF is playing a crucial role in evacuating hundreds of people from various areas. You can see how women and children have been evacuated.
Women and children, of course. And again, the NDRF, the all fluorescent orange of the NDRF. I mean, I don't understand how they're able to reach to the remotest of areas and help out children, women. I know it's their job, but it's always awe-inspiring that where nobody is able to go.
This was the NDRF
this
is what I was saying.
Several were laughing on this video, yesterday on the microblogging website. But you have to hand it to the Indian Air Force for their ways and the techniques and strategies with which they're able to evacuate people. See, almost 1,200 people.
A lot of people
evacuated.
A lot of people almost in the last 3 days, Kabir, have been spending their days on top of their rooftops. This is how they have been living for almost the last 3 days. It's been the only way they can survive, because their houses are literally small islands. They cannot move out of that. There's a raging water flow on the other side, and we can see how difficult it has been for them to find some kind of access to it. The roads have been washed away. There's water rising inside their homes. The only option was to be on the rooftop and pray that someone would actually catch them, and that is how the Indian Air Force is deploying a huge helicopters have been able to evacuate a lot of people. But there are still areas where things are very bad and inaccessible as such, and rescue rescue operations are still continuing in many areas. Heavy machinery has also been brought in, earth movers have also been brought in, but Shimla, I think Shimla is the center of what exactly is happening wrong when it comes to the situation in Himachal, and I think we must seriously look at.
Can you imagine?
That was a car.
That was a vehicle, and it's the rain and the deluge that has done something like this to a vehicle. It could be riot, it could be arson, it could be a full-on civil strife, and you would still be able to understand that boulders and cars shaped up like that. But rain and Mother Nature doing that to a set of quite heavy-duty iron. Well, it's you don't see that every day. complete destruction, trees being uprooted,
Broken
big trees.
These are trees that some of these trees are what rescue workers were saying was just snapped as the slides happened, and in certain areas they just they just snapped like twigs is what they said.
Well, our hearts and prayers, of course, with those who have lost their loved ones due to the deluge in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, and of course, life has been thrown out of gear in states that are placed lower than Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, Kanpur, Muradabad. We saw all those visuals, Gurdaspur as well. We'll have to wait and find out as to what is being done on the administrative end, because like the Chief Minister said, it's not about rehabilitation camps alone. We will also have to give them temporary houses. That's the next step of the government. So eyes and ears on the ground, bringing you the latest updates from Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Meanwhile, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, a long list to cover. Let's shift our focus to Manipur. 2-3 aspects in Manipur. Because number one, this is what we're just getting in, that there have been 3 new killings that have taken place in Manipur. 3 killed in fresh incident of violence in Manipur. The incident took place early this morning, this in the Thowai Kuki village in Thangukul, Naga dominated Ukhrul. So Ukhrul is the area where this happened. These are 3 volunteers. Police said 3 people killed were reportedly entrusted with guarding the village. So these were volunteers who were guarding the village that have been killed.
And that was in a Naga dominated area.
Naga dominated area. This is Ukhrul. 3 people were killed in this fresh violence that has been reported in this Naga dominated Ukhrul. The incident took place at about 4:30 a.m. in the wee hours of morning. This coming in from the police. The Kuki village of Thowai Kuki, which comes under the jurisdiction of Ukhrul police. Now the 3 who have been killed have been identified as Thangokai Haukip, Jamkhogin Haukip and Holosin Baite. This is an e-copy that I'm reading from the Indian Express, of course, but several other media houses and of course the wires have reported this. Ukhrul SP Ningshem Vashum said that the 3 were reportedly village guards who were entrusted with guarding the village. But that's not all, Varghese. Even as these 3 new fresh killings have taken place, look at that, what's there on the screen.
Well,
Kuki MLAs, the tribal MLAs are going to skip the assembly session. The assembly session begins on the 21st, which is the upcoming Monday, and 10 tribal MLAs have written to the Prime Minister and have said that they're likely to skip the assembly session, boycott it, if you would like to put it that way, citing security concerns.
It's not only security concerns. There have been issues because it is being said that in the assembly there will be a resolution that will be passed that says that separate administration would not be allowed and Manipur's territorial integrity would be protected at any cost. So I think a lot of Kuki MLAs who have been asking for separate administration, also some of them going to the other side saying that you need a separate state, they will be finding themselves in a catch-22 situation if they attend that assembly session, and that is why they are actually moving away from attending it. But at the same time, the time is not right for them to in fact go ahead and attend that assembly session is what some of them said. As you said, some of them had issue about security, but largely it is about what will they do in that assembly session, because if they are present and this resolution is passed, it will be a big problem when they go back to their constituencies. Most of these Kuki MLAs, of course, come from Kuki dominated
But isn't there
areas.
going to be a question on the issue of representation in the assembly?
No, the issue over here about it's about the 60 assembly.
The idea is to have voices from both sides, right?
But the issue is that it's a 60 assembly seat, and community-wise, we have seen 40 Methi MLAs as well as 20 Kuki MLAs there in that particular aspect, if my reading is correct. And at the moment, the divide is so huge that the Kuki MLAs cannot be seen trying to side with anything that shows some kind of a negotiation happening, because remember, the peace committee did not start off. Several other talks that they try to do, only back channel talks that too with the union government is happening. That is because the Mizoram Chief Minister Zoramthanga is facilitating it. But otherwise, between Methis and Kukis, the track kind of dialogue that the central government has been trying to do is also not happening.
Meanwhile, we'll also touch upon what happened in the Delhi Assembly yesterday on Manipur. Arvind Kejriwal in that passionate address on why Manipur is not being even spoken about. But the latest gunfiring, the violence that we're learning about, they're saying there was heavy gunfire where these 3 people were killed.
Okay.
Heavy gunfire that broke out at the Ukhrul district's Kuki village.
So who's
Thowai
behind
Kuki
it?
village. Sources said that the sounds of heavy gunfire were heard from Thowai Kuki village early this morning, following which 3 villagers went missing. The lifeless bodies of the missing trio were recovered after a hectic search by the CSOs and the surrounding villagers. So they went missing. The lifeless bodies and the mortal remains were found later. On the other hand, the CBI yesterday deputed 53 officers. Now 29 of those 53 officers, this team, are women officers which have been drawn from its units across the country to probe the Manipur violence cases. But then again, fresh violence, renewed violence in Manipur, as 3 members of the Kuki community have been killed. So this is a Naga dominated Ukhrul area where the Kuki community's 3 members have been killed. These were volunteers who were guarding the village, Thowai Kuki village in Ukhrul district. But in the Delhi Assembly, and this is what Arvind Kejriwal said, is that Manipur does not matter. And there was complete chaos in the Delhi Assembly over BJP MLA's remark. BJP MLA Mohan Singh Bisht from Karawal Nagar brushed off the Manipur issue, saying the events in the northeastern state do not matter. This is what was said in the Delhi Assembly, and yesterday the Delhi Assembly was convened. The Aam Aadmi Party convener and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, he gave expansive speeches. Of course, the Delhi Services Bill was also part of that. But then again, 3 angles to look at the latest news coming across from Manipur. 3 angles to look at that, Varghese. Number 1, 3 people have been killed, renewed violence.
And that is in a Naga dominated area.
It's a Naga dominated area.
Because we do understand that Nagas, Metis and Kukis, we have seen how they are ethnically divided, and geographically also in Manipur. They do have their own areas. So there have been instances where Nagas have also been involved in issues in Manipur, but then it is not the right time. I mean, if Nagas are also being dragged into this conflict unnecessarily, because right now only both of them, the Kukis and the Metis, have been trying to figure it out. But a Naga angle to it will only make it, I think, a tinderbox, because this has the ability to spread across northeast.
In Nagaland also, it's the Naga community that is doing the work of bridging these 2 communities together. In Nagaland, they made sure that the Kukis and Metis held hands together. There were photo ops over here also. Before the Independence Day celebrations, the Naga community said that we're going to hold peaceful rallies, urge everybody to come together. And again, this is happening in a Naga dominated Ukhrul village. So renewed violence, number 1. Number 2 is the fact that you've got the 10 tribal MLAs who said categorically that they're going to skip the assembly session, citing concerns of security and that particular order that you were talking about, that might be
a resolution might be passed,
that might be thrown
I don't think so,
in the Manipur Assembly. So 21st of August, upcoming Monday, is when the Manipur Assembly is going to it's going to be convened, it's going to be called, and these 10 Kuki MLAs are going to miss it. On the other hand, the third angle of how we're looking at news developments around Manipur is that in the Delhi Assembly, a BJP MLA has said that, well, Manipur does not matter, and brushed it aside, which is again something the Aam Aadmi Party is going to go all guns blazing on. We're going to move on to the next debate topic, but in the meantime, of course, our ears and eyes will continue to be on the ground. Manipur is something that we've kept very close to heart, because we want to make sure that the right voices come out and no misrepresentation or disinformation is spread when people are talking about Manipur. That's the essential idea, isn't it, Varghese?
Yes, yes. The thing about Manipur is that we keep covering it. We don't let go of the coverage. The violence started in May 3rd, and even now we are ensuring that all information is given out in the right manner, and at the same time we are also watching for peace in the state.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's shift our focus now. Let's also talk about Rahul Gandhi in Leh. Yesterday we got those visuals, Rahul Gandhi, he's apparently extended his Ladakh trip. It's going to continue till the 25th of August. Varghese here has all the details of पहले क्या था और अब क्या होने वाला है. Rahul Gandhi has extended his Ladakh trip. There are several other things. He's going to go to a war memorial, speak to some youth. He's going to watch a football match
in Leh, and also
former Prime Minister and his father Rajiv Gandhi's anniversary is going to be celebrated. The birthday is going to be celebrated on the 20th of August at the Pangong Lake. That all of that is happening now. For more perspective behind these political optics, let's just go across to Varghese. So Varghese, what can be expected? What was the trip looking like before, and what does it look like right now, even as people on the ground were very excited yesterday with what was going on in Rahul Gandhi?
Well, when it comes to Rahul Gandhi, Kabir, one of the things that has been is that some of them said that the Bharat Jodo Yatra is not yet over. But his visit to Ladakh is interesting because Ladakh, of course, after bifurcation, it is being said this is the first visit to Ladakh area, because you know how when Jammu and Kashmir was bifurcated, you had Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh as a separate territory without any sort of, an established legislature. But then at the same time, the Congress has also decided to have an alliance with the National Conference when it comes to Kargil, and the Hill Autonomous Council meet that is held. Elections are going to be held for that also. So it looks like it's also a kind of mini electioneering that is also happening. Meanwhile, the Congress workers on the ground are quite jubilant about it.
There you go. There you go. The tour has been extended to the 25th of August. This is what we're picking up. Rahul Gandhi will celebrate former PM Rajiv Gandhi's birthday on the 20th of August at Pangong Lake. That has now been added. Rahul's first visit to Ladakh. Now, this is interesting and important. Since Jammu and Kashmir was bifurcated and the abrogation of Article 370, first visit. He will also visit the Kargil Memorial, like I was saying, and he's also going to talk to some youth at the Kargil Memorial and also watch a football match in Leh. Now, this image makeover that everybody is talking about constantly.
This is another thing I was saying. Participate in the meeting of the 30-member Ladakh
Autonomous Hill Development Council. Now, again, even when we're looking at, this entire plan of Rahul Gandhi extending his, Ladakh trip and the image makeover that people are constantly talking about, is it going to be part of that? Are we, let me put it this way, his YouTube page, we've been seeing those videos. Are we expecting another video?
Of course, you're going to expect another video. Of course, you're going to expect another video because, one of the things that Rahul Gandhi has been speaking about is about how some of the areas that have been neglected have to be brought to the mainstream. And Ladakh, in this thing, when we talk about Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh was supposed to be somewhere in the outskirts. But now, with the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir into Ladakh as well as Jammu and Kashmir, well, we are looking at probably Ladakh being given a different kind of an approach. Because Ladakh, of course, comes with its Buddhist traditions, and the people in Ladakh is also having those lineages. But when we talk about Rahul Gandhi actually going to Ladakh, one of the issues that I would be looking at is it might not be just about Ladakh, speaking to the people of Ladakh. He might also raise the issue about the Chinese sitting just across the border.
Absolutely.
And he might also raise the question as to what is happening.
Recently, Varghese, Rahul Gandhi has been, towing the NDA government's line when it comes to the steps they're taking to counter China, on the border fronts. They're saying that, okay, fine, on the border fronts there is work that is being done. He might be targeting the government on, the issue of selling off everything, all public being made private. But he has conceded that yes, there is work being done on the border front as well. But look at these visuals. The way with which he was welcomed, what do you make of that?
Well, that is what I was saying. Some of the sources said that the Bharat Jodo Yatra is not yet over, and this is some of the small Bharat Jodo Yatras that the Congress is planning. Mini Bharat Jodo Yatras that is happening, and it is part of that extended campaign. And as you said, are you expecting a video? Yes, I'm expecting a video. Are you going to find that video regarding the war memorial in Kargil? Yes. If he's attending that football match in Leh? Yes. And for me, the interesting part would be what will be the topic of discussion for all of them. Because at the end of the day, when the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh happened, the question is about bringing development to these regions. So I think he's going to raise that issue with them, and he's going to raise that issue with the youth over there.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out what all happens. It's a big, long, itinerary when we're looking at Rahul Gandhi's Ladakh trip.
But a sudden increase, it was not that long. Suddenly, it was changed, in fact.
Why so? Why so?
That's been a mystery.
Or maybe the weather was much more better than
because
here in the national
one
capital.
of the other suggestions was that after Ladakh, there was supposed to be a European trip. That never happened. So, since there was no European trip happening, probably a delayed European trip coming up, it could be the fact that that could be the reason why it has been extended, and probably they were not expecting this kind of a rousing welcome to Rahul Gandhi in that place, and probably they've decided to cash in on as much as possible on that also.
Well, so Rahul Gandhi, might participate in the 30-member
the Autonomous Hill Council
the
meeting
Autonomous
as well.
Hill Council meet. He's going to celebrate his father and former PM's birthday on the 20th of August at Pangong Lake. He's going to watch a football match in Leh. He's going to visit the Kargil Memorial, the War Memorial, and also going to interact with the youth over there. Expect a fantastic video very soon on YouTube as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, shifting our focus again here. What is it that you'd like to touch upon next, Varghese? We've got a couple of things to do. How about we take a look at what's happening down south in Karnataka? Several stories coming out from Karnataka now.
I was looking at that ST Somashekar bite. Someone
a BJP MLA, BJP MLA, ST Somashekar has come out and he praises on the Congress Deputy Chief Minister DK Shiv Kumar.
Calling him a political guru. He's my political guru is what the statement was.
He's my political guru. He intervened, how he helped me out. And, you know, people are now, of course, the Congress party has taken it to the microblogging website, you know, calling out.
But ST Somashekar is also.
Your own MLA is heaping praises
I know,
on
but
our.
ST Somashekar is from the Congress. Who,
I mean,
ST Somashekar was from the Congress who changed to BJP. And
a lot
in Karnataka,
you
don't know
Karnataka
who.
Elections, a lot Congress, a lot of people jumped ship back to the Congress, not necessarily to the Congress, but back to the Congress.
But also there was
ST Somashekar, you know, there's a reaction.
Okay, let's listen
How about
to
we
that
listen
first
into that and then we'll come back for more. Listen into the BJP MLA, what he had to say about DK Shiv Kumar.
ಇವತ್ತು ನಾನು ಸಹಕಾರ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರುಗಳಾದಂತ ಡಿಕೆ ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು 100ಕ್ಕೆ 100 ನನ್ನನ್ನ ಈ ಮಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಸಹಕಾರ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆಸಿದಂತವರು. ಜೆಪಿ ನಗರ ನನಗೆ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು ಅವಾಗ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು ಜೆಪಿ ನಗರ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿ ಆಗಿ ನನ್ನ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಬಾರಿಗೆ ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಸಹಕಾರವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಉತ್ತರಳ್ಳಿ ವಿಧಾನಸಭಾ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ ಬಹುದೊಡ್ಡ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ, ಶಾಸಕನಾಗಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು ನೀನು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನನ್ನನ್ನ ಉತ್ತರಳ್ಳಿ ವಿಧಾನಸಭಾ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಅಭ್ಯರ್ಥಿಯನ್ನಾಗಿ ಘೋಷಣೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು.
It is Shiv Kumar who intervened when I wanted help. This is what you know, the BJP MLA is saying. Now, interestingly, Varghese, there's another angle at play over here. It seems like Siddaramaiah is trying to, you know, bring the numbers towards his own side when Lok Sabha elections are being looked at.
That is
and
what
Yadurappa has been asked to make sure that it does not
happen that way. Yeah, you know, that was what I wanted to get immediately, but then you wanted to go to the bite, so I said anyway the bite adds to it. You know, there is a speculation that ahead of 2024 there is going to be what we call as Operation Hasta. Okay, Operation Hasta is like Operation Lotus, and in Operation Hasta it is about getting people from the BJP to the Congress. So there is a speculation.
Operation Hasta.
Yeah.
You mean Operation
Lotus?
I was thinking. So you've got Operation Lotus, and then you've got Operation Sweeping Hand. Basically, you've got the hand and putting the hand to good use now also.
No, see, a lot of Congress leaders who had shifted to the BJP, ST Somashekar, one of them, one of the interesting thing he said that is local BJP leaders are pushing me to join Congress. That is what he said on August 17th. And interestingly enough, he's also
Who said this? Who said this?
ST Somashekar.
ST Somashekar, okay.
So he's saying local, and because of the internal politics that is there, in that. And then later he said that he is not joining the Congress.
But you never know.
But you never know. But he said he's miffed with the leadership in the BJP. So, I mean, there's so much happening internally in the BJP. Now, the biggest problem in Karnataka politics is this, Kabir. You don't know who's on whose side. You have no clue about who's on whose side, because most of these people have jumped ship, then they jump ship back. Some of them who were in the Congress had moved to BJP, then back into the Congress. So there is no ideologically, you can't say any leaders belong to any party as such.
But look at the way with which Siddaramaiah is being followed, his own, you know, MB Patel.
And Siddaramaiah himself is a JDS man who went to Congress and he's established himself. So there is a JD, you know, there is a talk saying that there is a JD, in the Congress itself, there's a talk, and even in BJP, this is saying that, you know, each party has, since they have members members from all the other parties as well. So there is a JDS Congress, there is a pure Congress, and there is a BJP Congress. In the BJP also there is a Congress BJP, because leaders who moved from Congress to the BJP, so they are a lobby in it. So they call it Congress BJP. JDS leaders who moved into the BJP, they are called JDS BJP, and then you have the pure BJP. So in both the parties, I mean, it's a strange political.
And HD Kumaraswamy is sitting in Singapore, you know, laughing at what's happening in Karnataka.
And probably also the fact that the BJP is saying that you take the floor as the opposition leader. That is interesting to me right now, because right now, whatever attack has been mounted on Siddaramaiah is from HD Kumaraswamy.
But there's another thing that's happening. See, look, even as heaps are being praised on DK Shivkumar by this BJP MLA, who was erstwhile a Congress leader, he's now again being, lured to come back into, the Congress fold. And 2024 Lok Sabha polls, numbers have to be taken into account. Siddaramaiah
28 MP seats are there in Karnataka.
28 seats.
Yeah, 28.
So Siddaramaiah, given the task of, making sure that the Congress party has the numbers, Yediyurappa, who it seems was called back for the assembly elections. If you were anybody else and above the age of 75, you will be at the Margdarshak Mandal. But if you're
the
BS
retirement board, I would call it the retirement board.
But if you're BS Yediyurappa, you're called back from retirement to help the BJP out in Karnataka. Now, the number game aside, and DK Shivkumar being hit with those praises, take a look at what's happening in Karnataka. Back in the day, the erstwhile government of Basavaraj Bommai, the BJP government, it was, there were allegations that were leveled against the government of being a 40% commission sarkar. There were the PayCM campaign. You remember the PayCM campaign? It was a hit campaign by the Congress, where you had posters of Paytm, but it was Basavaraj Bommai's QR code with the face on it, and it said PayCM campaign.
And
PayCM
across Bengaluru, across Karnataka,
these allegations were leveled by the contractors. If we've got the visuals, I'm going to request the control room to see if you've got visuals of the PayCM campaign. If you've got the PayCM posters, do throw those up as well. The PayCM campaign, it was a hit campaign by the Congress in Karnataka. It was the opposition back in the day. Now, the Karnataka government, Congress government, has ordered a probe into the 40% Sarkara allegations by the contractors.
Yeah, and there is something, there's kind of pressure building on this. There's a reason why that pressure is building over here. I'll tell you why. The reason is because right now they are sitting on a bill to clear 25,000 crore bill, Kabir, they are sitting on. They have to clear a 25,000 crore bill for the existing contractors from the previous government. So they have been pressurized, and the Contractors Association came and said that, they don't have a grouse against the Congress government. The only thing is that they want their bills to be cleared, and you had the Contractor Association President Kempana coming out and saying this. Now,
there was the whole Ishwarappa episode.
KS Ishwarappa
had to step down.
He had to step down because of it, and later, of course, he was given a clean sheet.
He was a cabinet minister.
He was a cabinet, and he was also asked not to contest.
Right.
He was not asked to contest in the assembly elections as well. So all this.
There was internal politics inside the BJP also.
There was also
and not really happy with the decisions of the Basavaraj Bommai led government. How big of a trouble is Basavaraj Bommai in now?
See, I don't think so. It is going to be trouble for Basavaraj Bommai, but it is a smart move on the part of the Congress government to order a probe into this, because as I was telling them, they need to deflect this pressure of a 25,000 crore bill on pending contracts, and they need to give a reason why is it pending. What is the reason that led to that pending, and they're trying to deflect this pressure back into the BJP camp. That is why this entire episode of ordering a probe has been carried out.
Well, absolutely. So this is going to be there is a committee that has been formed. It is going to be led by retired justice. If I'm not wrong, there is going to be a proper probe, and then the report is going to be submitted. This after the contractors the contractors themselves have been carrying out these press conferences, haven't they?
They've been asking only one thing. They want the bills to be cleared or the works will be stalled, and Siddaramaiah has to deflect that kind of a pressure. Good enough for him is that he's just entered power, it's not even completed 100 days, I guess, and because of that he can actually deflect this entirely onto the previous administration, and this entire aspect of trying to do that is what seems to be working out right now, because you have a 2024 elections to go to, and the contractors, if they stall work, that's going to be problematic.
This is the committee that is led by Justice H.N. Nagamohan Das that has been formed to probe the allegations. The probe was ordered based on the letter submitted to the then opposition leader and now Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. So Siddaramaiah, what letters he got back in the day in the Karnataka Assembly, he is now putting that to good use.
Now the contractors contractors are in the center of a political tug of war between the Congress and the BJP. And the BJP leaders, who have been trying to push on the fact that you have given guarantees but you don't make sense of it, well, they will find themselves in a little bit of defending mode, because if this probe goes ahead, it will be something that the Congress government will try to cash in on, saying that, it is because of your bad management that this 25,000 crore bill is pending, because of your corruption this 25,000 crore bill is pending, and
that kind of money would really relieve the burden on the exchequer as well. There you have it. Pay CM, this is the campaign that the Congress had launched, and it was quite a hit campaign. Take a look at that. Nobody had thought about this. And after this campaign, there were a lot of other parties in other states that started doing the same thing to call out corruption from the ruling dispensation. What a fantastic way. You've got everybody that's using their mobile phones every day. Everybody knows what a QR code is for. And you've got the Chief Minister's photo.
And the QR code worked.
40% accepted
here. The QR code worked. If you go and scan that QR code that they had given,
it took you to the website.
It took you to the website showing the kind of corruption or alleged corruption.
It was a cathartic process. There was an end to it. And I personally feel, because I was reporting when this happened. You were in Hijab, halal, all of that was happening in Karnataka. And you had the PCM campaign that came about. Everybody reacted to it.
And plus the contractors,
the common man got a hold of this campaign.
Yes, and the contractors had already raised the issue. And remember, just before that, in the rains in Bengaluru, you could have seen that Bengaluru had been completely devastated. It was, flooded. The urban flooding was very common in Bengaluru.
With swimming pool.
Yeah. And you had a lot of RWAs that were against the government as well. So it effectively worked. But right now, this kind of an order to go ahead and carry on with the probe is technically political, to push back that pressure of 25,000 crore bill that is there on the Congress government right now onto the BJP side.
All right, let's shift our focus, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, a long list that we must cover and apprise the viewers with. So do stay on. We've got interesting aspects and updates coming right next. But shifting our focus to Jammu and Kashmir now, where NIA raids, the National Investigation Agency, has been carrying out raids ever since the wee hours of the morning. Shopian, Kulgam in Kashmir as well, Bhindi, several areas in South Kashmir as well. We've got several visuals that have come in. These are 8 locations in the terror funding case. Now, the NIA believes that the minorities were being lured in to carry out various kinds of terrorist acts, various terror modules that were busted recently as well. But the NIA has been carrying out these raids. This began early in the day today. If I could just throw in some more additional information over here, Varghese, just to tell the viewers that the NIA conducted raids in these are visuals coming in from Kashmir, in Jammu and Kashmir's Shopian, in a terror related case. The raid is going on in the house of Muhammad Yusuf Wani, who's a resident of Chotigam area of Shopian district in South Kashmir. The National Investigation Agency, they're carrying out this raid, and it's not just in Shopian. This is happening in Kulgam, this is happening in Bhindi, this is happening in several other areas of South Kashmir. 8 total locations. Of course, not a lot of information that has trickled out, and you don't get visuals of the raids per se. Of course, there are some deferred visuals, but the CRPF van that you can see in Kulgam and J&K, several other areas as well. Kulgam, Shopian, Bhindi, 8 places in totality, and several areas in South Kashmir.
NIA's raids have mostly been looking at the money that is fueled for terror activities, and they have been actually trying to go ahead and ensure that they trace that money trail as fast as possible, because that explains the source of the money, the kind of thought process that has been put into while trying to execute something. And also some of the overground workers of terrorist organizations have been exposed in most of these NIA raids, especially when they try to go behind the money trail. So overground workers of these terrorist organizations, and it's a very interesting term that has been put into place, is that people who walk freely, have their sympathies with terrorist organization and execute the PR policies of these terrorist organizations.
It's a cyberspace that is also being used by these terror outfits, and I'll just try to explain to the viewers how it happens. There are various scams and frauds that are being carried out on the cyberspace. It could be a WhatsApp, Ponzi scheme. It could be a Telegram, pyramid scheme. They'll lure you in. They'll take your money. You won't get that money back. But it's not just you. 5,000 rupees coming from you, but a similar amount coming from other 150 people. They've got enough money. That money is converted into crypto, is then sent to China. What that money is used for? Is it used for, enabling these terror modules? That is a big question.
In fact,
it's a
we should
worry.
stay with this, and because the next story is also connected with this, I think we should look at the drug situation in Kashmir, because that is another shocking aspect of what is happening in Kashmir.
Absolutely, and even as we're talking about what these NIA raids are aimed at achieving, terror conspiracies using the cyberspace, trying to lure in the minorities in Jammu and Kashmir, trying to siphon off the money, take their money, cheat them, dupe them, and then use this money to enable other terror modules. It's a big question. NIA raids being carried out in 8 locations. Of course, once the raids are over, and if there's a public announcement that is made by the NIA, we'll of course be sure to promptly bring that update to you. But just like Varghese said, let's shift our focus here. Of course, sticking to the valley, but there's another problem over here. And Varghese, I think you read what Dilbag Singh, the DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, had to say, but that's not all. The drug menace is a problem in Jammu and Kashmir. But on the other hand, every 12 minutes, one addict is walking into the OPD across hospitals in Jammu and Kashmir. That's a big number. That's a big number.
That's a very bad statistic. And I was actually going through some of the revelations that the DGP made. He said that most of them are between age of 13 years to 30. So they are actually a very young group of people, and now around 5 to 7 lakh people are said to be drug addicts in that valley, and it's an Udta Punjab kind of a situation. They have made a deadly mix in this. What is that deadly
One
mix
addict
about?
walks into Srinagar OPD every 12 minutes. Most of the addicts are between 13 years to 30 years.
Yeah, that's a shocking demography of that.
5 to 7 lakh youths are victims of drugs and drug abuse.
In 1.3 crore, in a population of...
There you have it. Park agencies funding terror through drugs. And I think it's not just the park. Ever since, the Taliban took over, some payments from drugs done through cryptocurrencies.
You were just explaining about
that I was talking about. So cryptocurrency and, crypto mining, that all of that is being used. Cyber fraud. And of course, we're going to do a proper show on it as well. This is something that Varghese and I have been talking about. Now, take a look at that, ladies and gentlemen. In 2019, I'll just quickly go and, try and talk it through.
Under NDPS Act. So
absolutely. So, just to tell the viewers again, 2019, you had 1,172 FIRs under the NDPS Act in Jammu and Kashmir alone. Now, of course, if you look at what's happened in 2022, that number has gone up to, from 1100, that number has gone up to 1800 cases. And these are just FIRs under the NDPS Act, nothing else, Varghese. In terms of, people who are, youngsters who are getting
into drug peddling,
into the drug menace. That's another
statistics,
statistic altogether.
I think, yes, we have that. The peddler.
Well, there you have it. The peddlers being arrested in Jammu and Kashmir. Take a look at this again, Varghese. In 2019, the amount of peddlers that were arrested, people who are peddling these drugs, is 1,713. Meanwhile, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Look at the number. Look at the advance in the number. 2,756. Almost 1,000 more peddlers that have been, arrested. And that's the situation right now in Jammu and Kashmir, because the drug menace is actually a problem. But what more about the drug addicts walking into the OPDs every 12 minutes, Varghese?
Well, that is the shocking part of it. And, they have created an ecosystem, Kabir, over here, where the ecosystem consists of people who are involved in terrorist activities. There's an ecosystem that consists of people who are facing economic hardship, especially in the border areas, whose job is to smuggle the drugs from Pakistan, ensure its sale point in Jammu and Kashmir to the addicts that have been created. The addicts become the market for it. A portion of it is kept to them, and a portion of it goes to Pakistan.
Aren't we crippling the society then?
That is exactly the situation. Two parts of the country that are being
drugs into the youth, so that the youth is unable to think for itself.
Exactly.
And then you can carry out these terror activities. And if
these terror activities are also being funded by the same drug money.
Same money. So you buy these drugs, the money is used for terror activities, And why these terror activities are being get the encouragement is because, well, people who are trying to, who should be stopping it, are busy consuming drugs.
And the other
So
part
the
of it
cycle is so conducive to the health of the terror module.
And another big problem is the involvement of cryptocurrencies in the sale of these drugs. And it is a huge situation that is there, and it is much more scarier than what we did see in Punjab when it came to the addiction factor.
Absolutely. 1,700 peddlers got arrested in 2019, 2,700 got arrested in 2022. One addict walks into Srinagar OPD every 12 minutes. Startling facts. And the DGP, Dilbag Singh, says himself that, you know, there's a problem, then of course this problem must be, you know, nipped right at the bud. Shouldn't it be, Varghese?
Yes, it should be. And I think these statistics are worrisome, and probably with so much of security personnel presence, this problem can be stemmed. But the fact remains is that the youth of Jammu and Kashmir are being wasted, one with terrorism and the other with drugs.
Absolutely. Shifting our focus again, and like I suggested, this is also something that we'll have to do a proper show on. Again, the drug menace and the drug problem, and how cyber fraud and cryptocurrencies are being used to, well, you know, encourage terrorism. That is one aspect that we're definitely going to throw some more light on, because it's important that people start talking about this as well. Let's shift our focus to a Vistara flight now. And this is also a latest development, Varghese. I'm not sure if you know about this, but there was a Delhi to Pune Vistara flight which received a bomb threat, and there's a probe that is now on it. So there was a bomb threat on the Pune bound Vistara flight at the Delhi airport. The inspection for the same is underway. Look at those visuals, Varghese. Of course, not a lot of information right now, but it seems like the flight did not in fact take off. And there was a bomb threat that was done, and there was an alert about a bomb on a Vistara flight from Delhi to Pune was received by the GMR call center on Friday. We confirm that the flight UK 971 scheduled to fly from Delhi to Pune on the 18th of August is delayed due to mandatory security checks. We have been cooperating with the relevant security agencies for the same, says a Vistara spokesperson. That's all the information we have so far. Once we have clarity over as to what happened, because of course these airlines must be getting bomb threats, and the agencies also shouldn't be taking it lightly, and I'm glad that, you know, that the flight was delayed and the proper thorough security check was conducted. More details on the flight, well, we'll bring that to you soon enough. But after the NIA raids and the Kashmir drug problem, and even as we're talking about the, you know, Vistara bomb threat, there's another angle that we have to look at. In terms of security, India has launched its own long-range revolver, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Prabal. It's India's own. We have manufactured it. It will launch today. It's our long-range pistol called Prabal. More about Prabal. What is Prabal all about? Its capabilities, the caliber, the magazine, the magnum. I mean, I'm not well versed with those kind of terminologies. Varghese over here, our arms and ammunitions weaponry expert.
Oh my God!
Scientist. He's our philosopher. He's our philanthropist, and he's also our weapon expert. And he's also our Med Department expert. Let me also tell you. And I'm not joking when I say this. All right, over there, Prabal Revolvers' capabilities.
See, this one interesting part of this, you know, the reorganizations of the Ordnance Factory Board into 7 PSUs, and this product comes right now from one of those reorganized, you know, public sector units. It's been made into 7 competing
it's a state-owned AWEIL that has launched this Prabal long-range revolver, the Avail. Prabal revolver has range up to 50 meters. This is long range.
This is twice.
This is twice
the normal range that is there among revolvers, which is around 25 meters, and this goes up to 50 meters. And
Prabal revolver is light in weight and equipped with a side swing cylinder, which essentially means that where you fit the bullets, it just comes to the side,
yeah,
like a
and
proper,
then you can
like Wild West.
You can
movie sort of a situation, right?
Yeah, and you can refill and then you put it back. So that is how it is.
It weighs 700 grams.
So again, it's
cartridges,
without cartridges, but still in the lightweight category to a large extent.
The barrel length is 76 millimeters, while its overall length is 177.6 millimeters. It could be purchased by civilians with a license. Again, something that I have, you know, various weird and different opinions about, because, well, I've been tracking developments in the United States, and the gun violence there is abhorrent. But I just wanted to know, on the lighter note, on the side, I mean, it's a great step. Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, Made in India. It's absolutely great. Long range, twice the range of existing revolvers, the side swing barrel. But aren't pistols the modern way to go?
See,
with revolver?
revolvers and pistols have their own, positives when we talk about it. Of course, pistols have a probability of...
But is pistol a more modern weapon than the revolver?
It is preferred as a modern weapon, but revolvers mostly is used by, I would say, law enforcement agencies in our country. So I think the primary market would be law enforcement agencies.
What's your take? What does look more cool in,
See, for me, I don't think weapons look any cool because it is like a killing equipment in your pocket. So, but anyway, the fact remains is that actually we have started taking up small arms manufacturing quite seriously, because that was something that a large amount of foreign currency was spent on, and we have decided to bring in quality products into the market. And right now, Kabir, the government has been focusing to make India from a net weapons importer to a net weapons exporter. So there has been a lot of attempts on the part of the government to ensure that at least some of these domestically manufactured products can be used for our small arms need within the country, rather than go for these costly imports. And you do, when you have these small manufacturers, small arms manufacturing taking place, you do avoid unnecessary corruption as well, where you have foreign entities trying to influence you. All that is cut out. But the fact remains is that it's starting on with small arms manufacturing is something that has been taking quite a stir when it comes to getting them to the armed forces. But right now, I think this would probably be with the law enforcement agencies right now.
All right. The firm has received an order to manufacture defense products worth 6,000 crore rupees this year, including an order for 300 Sarang cannons from the Indian Army. The firm has also received orders worth 450 crore from European countries as well. So, Atmanirbhar Bharat not only making it for civilians here who can purchase it with a license like you can read over there, but also for Europeans as well. So, we'll get foreign contracts as well.
We are looking at becoming an exporter of weapons. India, if you look at the arms import category, India has been on the top list for years together. We've been importing everything from small arms to big sophisticated systems, and right now the government in the country has decided to save on that precious foreign currency that we spend on that defense equipment import. So they are looking for sophisticated. Right now it looks like they're trying to first ensure that domestic manufacturing of small arms is taken care of, so that you have quality products that can be given to the various organizations that require it. And at the same time, later they are also simultaneously working on to make sure that sophisticated armed systems, which such like an aircraft.
Hey man, I'm just saying it looks quite cool to me over here.
It looks like your old
my Wild West fantasies are kicking in, because I think the revolver looks way cooler than the pistol. But however, the pistol is considered to be more modern. Needless to say, today we're launching this India's very own long-range pistol, Prabal. The capabilities, the capacities, will cull out this portion and put it out as a separate video for all of you to consume and watch for your perusal, because it's important Indians know what Indian weaponry is like. People should stop talking about the Kalashnikovs. It's not even ours, and anybody can talk about is the AK-47 and all the AKs, the entire Kalashnikov range. Prabal, our very own long-range pistol, to be launched today, ladies and gentlemen. Let's shift our focus now. In Rajasthan, we spoke about Karnataka politics. Let's also take a look at the rumblings of Rajasthan, the Rajasthan rumblings, if you put it that way, and this time around from the BJP, because yesterday we showed you the Chief Election Committee meet. We were talking about how the BJP is so prompt, it never shies away from changing its, cabinet. It never shies away from dropping, its sitting chief ministers, replacing them with younger faces. It has its own, books that it plays by, rules that it plays by. But now, after the CEC meet, it seems like Vasundhara Raje is out of the poll panels. The BJP has announced 2 poll panels in Rajasthan, and Vasundhara Raje not in there. We also have visuals of the CEC meet, where this decision might have been taken up. Prime Minister Modi and JP Nadda in that, conversation over there. Maybe they were talking about this only. Maybe they were saying,
I'm still trying to understand, because see, we must
And she's the face. She's been the face for
that is
BJP
what I was coming
politics
to.
in Rajasthan.
When we look at the BJP should accept the fact that some of its leaders are regional satraps or are regional supporters. We were talking about, you just spoke about Yediyurappa. Yediyurappa is the person to which the BJP got its recognition, and that is why you had the lotus blooming in the south. But yet, I think this
is it safe to say? Is it safe to say that, you know, let's not jump the gun. Of course, Rajasthan elections this year later on. She's out of the poll panels. We don't know what her role is essentially going to be, but is it safe to say now that she's at least not going to be the chief ministerial candidate?
No, I think that is what the guessing game is being kept at in Rajasthan, that they don't want to say that is the case, because that could have a rippling effect on the ground, because it is not only Vasundhara Raje who's been kept out of it. BJP President CP Joshi and leader of opposition Rajendra Rathore has also been kept out of these poll panels. So are they trying to keep an ambiguous stand on this and let all of them work? You know, they had an ambiguous stand when it came to Karnataka Assembly elections also at the same time. So I think they're trying to keep an ambiguous stand on this. But then the fact remains is that, is it wise to ensure that your regional leaders who have been trying to establish your party at a grassroots level, is it wise to keep them away? That is something that is there. But, you know, one of the things that I think
sources in the BJP have said that she will get a role in the election strategy of Rajasthan that is befitting of her stature. So what does that mean?
What befitting of her stature would be, she's the former chief minister.
What is her stature?
That is what her stature is, the former chief minister.
Is top notch.
Yeah, she's a top notch. So she's the former chief minister. So her befitting her stature would be what? Befitting her stature would be that she's going to be the chief minister candidate. That's what I'm saying. Look at the ambiguity of those statements.
Right.
And plus, there is, I think there's a worry within BJP.
So all BJP supporters in Rajasthan want this like.
Are they going to vote for Raje, or are they going to vote for the central leadership of the party? That,
I think the central leadership wins it hands down, doesn't it?
The central, see, let us see,
because when it comes to Rajasthan,
but in Rajasthan, when
you're
going for the local issues, you have the Gehlot government, of course, but when you're going for local issues, I think that is something that we have to, because in Karnataka also they fought on local issues, right? So but anyway, I think, but Kabir, the point that I was trying to in fact make is that I think the worry factor for them is that you have Sachin Pilot in the sidelines, always saying that Gehlot did not take action against Vasundhara Raje and her government on corruption factors. So they think, I think right now, by not including her, they don't want to bring her in the line of fire if the Congress decides to target its guns on Vasundhara Raje. So that could be the reason why they're keeping it quite ambiguous as well. Just a thought from reading from all this.
Well, that's Rajasthan related trivia only via Varghese P. Abraham. We'll have to shift our focus here, Varghese. It is going to be interesting to see what role finally Vasundhara Raje gets in this election strategy of Rajasthan. It is a crucial election. Next year is 2024 Lok Sabha.
And elections. All these states matter. That's the
all these states matter. Now it matters. Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan,
Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, all of
them. Massive anti-incumbency in Madhya Pradesh. So an uphill task for the Bharatiya Janata Party, and you don't get to hear that often. Not at least in the last 9-10 years. You don't get to hear an uphill task for the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's always an uphill task for the other party. It's always a game to lose for the BJP, not a game to win, because everybody knows they're the defending champions. Shifting our focus here, we spoke about Rahul Gandhi's extended trip to Ladakh after the abrogation of Article 370, and at least 7 days worth of hearing has happened in the Supreme Court vis-a-vis the petitions that have challenged the abrogation of Article 370. Now, of course, one particular statement that we'd like to tell our viewers and talk about as well is the Supreme Court saying that the wisdom, and this is the quotation, there's a quote, I'll ask the control room if they could play out that quote as well. The CJI D.Y. Chandrachud has said that the wisdom behind abrogation of Article 370 cannot be challenged. I mean, Varghese, you and I both have been, looking at the hearings in the court over the last 7, times, and questions over political acts being carried out via executive acts, legislative actions carrying out the will of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, permanency and temporary Article 370, that particular angle has been spoken about, J&K's Constituent Assembly, the powers, abuse of power, powers within the President, Clause 3 of Article 370, Article 1, Article 363, Article 356. There are so many things, that one can talk about as well.
Well, it is, and I think
But
that
this reaction, what do you make of it when the Supreme Court bench says that the wisdom behind Article 370?
See, I think what
abrogation
this,
of
I
Article
think it
370.
gives a thinking into the Supreme Court, saying that I think that quote is something that we need to focus on, because Kabir, in that quote of CJI Chandrachud, interestingly, what he says is that you are asking us to question the wisdom of abrogating it, which we can't do. But constitutionally, the manner in which it was done, was it a problem, is the question that we would intervene with if it is the case so. So he just made it clear, saying that when it came to a legislative action on Article 370 or trying to abrogate it, that is not that we are going to question. Whether it was done the right way is what we are trying to question, is what has been raised on this.
Well, so that's what the Chief Justice of India had to say. Again, we'll have to wait and find out, because the hearing is going to begin again next week, or has it concluded, Varghese?
It's going to, it was inconclusive, and therefore I think it is going to continue on
Advocate
Tuesday.
Dhawan appearing for the JNK conference, and of course Advocate Dave.
All of them had only one argument. All of them
Right.
are asking the role of the Constituent Assembly of JNK, the role, the JNK's integration with the country, the ascension, the acceding.
How it is
part
unique
of
and
it,
different from other princely states.
Yes, and how difficult, and what is the kind of assurance that we had given. All are those factors. that we-
And these 2 points do hold a lot of weightage, because unlike other princely states, the Jammu and Kashmir, they had a constitution in the year 1939 before their accession. Before the instrument of accession, they had in 1939 an instrument, their own constitution, which is quite a weird anomaly. No other princely state had that. And also in 1957, they had their own constituent assembly, which now ceases to exist. So when you abrogate the Article 370, which is essentially dealing with the will of the people, why don't take into account the will of the people? Why not ask them? Why use the parliament
So, but
to
how can
succeed
you go
the
to that?
Constituent
The
Assembly?
Constituent Assembly is the
Hence
argument
why
that is put,
this
yeah.
becomes a precedent for other future such cases, which is why it's important we talk about it. Day 7 is nothing. I won't be surprised if we keep on hearing these, batch of pleas and petitions till 15 odd days. That's something that we're going to focus on. Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays only at News 9. Rolling coverage coming right from courtroom number 1, where the topmost bench comprises the 5 senior most judges of the country sit down to hear batches of petitions that are challenging the abrogation of Article 370, albeit 4 years after it was abrogated in May of 2019. Meanwhile, let's of course move on. Some other stories for us to take a look at as well. Now, shifting our focus to Madhya Pradesh. In Satna in Madhya Pradesh, there's a weird case, a weird anomaly that has happened. Let me lay bare the semantics of the case. There's a man who is convicted of rape. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. The man was let off before his sentence got over on grounds of good behavior inside the jail premises, inside the prison. The man is out. The man again commits rape, this time targeting a minor girl. Now, of course, the police has apprehended the man, but only goes on to show that I don't know, I don't understand, why this person was let off on good behaviors grounds.
Well, the age of the minor is in fact shocking. It says that it's a 5-year-old girl who was allegedly raped by the man who was recently released from jail after serving 10 years in prison for raping another minor in the city of Satna in Madhya Pradesh. So, the minor, who used to beg with her grandmother at a local temple, was abducted by the suspect, who is aged 35. His name is Rakesh Verma,
Right.
in public view, and then allegedly raped her in a secluded area near the temple on Wednesday evening. The girl, who is said to be in a serious condition, is under treatment at Reva Medical College.
Absolutely, and we have reactions also, on this MP rape story. There are several reactions that are coming across. We will, of course, put those reactions out. There's a reaction coming from the Home Minister as well, Narottam Mishra. But first and foremost, a reaction coming from the police. Let's quickly listen into that.
आज 5 बजे शाम को जगतदेव तालाब से एक 5 साल की बच्ची का राकेश वर्मन नाम का व्यक्ति है, वो खिलाते हुए साथ में ले गया था। बाद में जब वो बच्ची रिपोर्ट हुई और उसको बच्ची को तलाशा गया, तो राकेश वर्मन ने उसके साथ बलात्संग किया था। तो बच्ची को हॉस्पिटल लाया गया इलाज के लिए, उसका रीवा रिफर किया गया अच्छे इलाज। उसके साथ दुष्कर्म हुआ। जी हाँ,
उसमें उसकी घर गिराने की कार्रवाई होगी।
जस्ट अभी तो बच्ची को रवाना किया है, इसके बाद सब कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं तत्काल।
Well, so Varghese, report coming in from Satna, Madhya Pradesh also goes to polls this year. So politics will take place and take shape around this particular case as well. But a 5-year-old minor being, that abhorrent crime being committed towards this particular, minor, and after 10 years of imprisonment, only goes on to show that it's not necessary that 10 years of imprisonment will fix the guy.
Yeah, that is the thing. Abroad, you
get a second chance, but you don't get third chances.
No, but abroad, I mean, there are countries, advanced countries. You know what happens if a person is convicted in a sexual assault case against a minor? He goes into a list. All right, and if he is coming to the neighborhood, the entire neighborhood is made aware of it. So here is a person after 10 years who's come to that same neighborhood and he has committed the same crime after serving a sentence of 10 years and also being released early for apparent good behavior. And this person, when he comes to the same neighborhood, of course, a lot of people won't know about his antecedents because he's coming after 10 years. But even though those who know about it, you wouldn't see a whole lot of people knowing about it. So why is it that we don't have a sexual offenders list, and that sexual offenders list should be made public to a particular RWA or any other local organizations? That person, when he comes to that neighborhood, that's the only way to warn them, and when that person is on that list, there is constant vigil on that person. This is how it works abroad.
Well, absolutely. And even as we're talking about this case coming to light from Satna, take a look at this. These visuals that we're playing are of course of the Bilkis Bano rape convicts, because the Bilkis Bano rape convicts are they've also there's another case that's going on in the Supreme Court. What's that about, Varghese, essentially?
Well, the Supreme Court has in fact asked Gujarat, saying that on what basis did you release the convicts of Bilkis Bano, those who've been convicted in Bilkis Bano's rape case? They have in fact raised this question, and also remember the SC had asked itself this question as to how come they took up this case on the early release of the convicts who are involved in that particular aspect. So Bilkis Bano case taking another kind of a stand on this. The question again coming from the SC as to under what conditions did you allow the release of these convicts?
Well, absolutely. And Mahua Moitra, she also put out, a stern voice saying that how can you even think about, an early remission for these.
How is it, for me the question would be, is that how is it that...
What's the latest update that's coming from the Supreme Court? Now the Supreme Court has called out the order from Gujarat, the Gujarat government.
You give me the reasons why you went ahead and released the convicts.
Because we were earlier showing you those visuals. These, the convicts in the Bilkis Bano case, they were released earlier than their sentence. And right outside, they were garlanded, there were sweets that were given to them, and we were just showing you those visuals. Take a look at that. Take a look at that. Do you greet rape convicts like that?
Well, this is the shocking imagery that came out once they were released, and it did prick the conscience, but it took some time for the court to also realize as to what has happened. So the court is also in fact going through all those aspects as well. So let's see. I think this is still something that is developing, and probably the reasons why the court has in fact asked the government as to explain on this over the release of these convicts, well, that is going to be quite interesting to see how the government will also respond to it, and later what is the action that is going to be taken by the court on this matter.
Well, all right, let's shift our focus again. What is it that you want to touch upon next? I have a couple of stories with me. Of course, Varghese, Chandrayaan update is something that we can quickly talk about, because today
the deboosting effort is happening.
The deboosting is going to happen of the lander module. The propulsion module continues to orbit and circle the 163 into 153 kilometer orbit range outside the lunar surface. On the other hand, the propulsion, the lander module is now going to deboost and come closer to the lunar surface. That's right.
Yeah,
right?
That's correct. And they are looking at a 100-kilometer kind of a circular orbit, after which they would be looking at its software.
There you have it. There you have it.
The landing
That's
areas.
the picture over there.
So now you're having that lander module going around, and it is looking at the perfect place where it can land, because it's already been fed with the area and where you have to land. Because remember, Chandrayaan 2's biggest failure was it made a 500 meter into 500 meter kind of a landing space, but now I think it's made a 4.2 kilometer into something like 3.5 kilometer kind of a landing space is what has been given to it. So it will be recognizing that particular area in which it will have to land, and then it will be firing its engines, and that soft landing will take place, and the 26 kg rover would be moving onto the lunar surface, of course with an umbilical cord on it, and a 14-day adventure for ISRO is going to begin once that landing happens.
No, wait. Let me just try and explain. Like I said, didn't I tell you we've got the scientists with us over here? So let me just quickly take the viewers through this. All right. So this is the 163 into 153 orbit, which was the last final orbit after all the lunar, speed, velocity decreasing orbit maneuvers were over. Then you had the lander and the propulsion module getting separated, right? If you could put that picture back again, right? So now you have the lander module that is now revolving closer to the moon.
It is looking for a circular orbit around the moon.
Around the moon, it is closer to the moon as well.
Yes, it's going
now
to
with each deboosting maneuver,
will slowly start coming onto the surface.
Start getting closer towards the moon. And finally, meanwhile, yesterday we were also in conversation with Group Captain V.N. Jha, who also told us that it's important that over the next couple of days, even as we're looking at this deboosting, there are several tests that are happening. Tests that are happening on the propulsion module as well, on the lander module as well. Whatever is being recorded on the lander module, the data doesn't come to the Earth directly. It first goes to the propulsion module. The propulsion module sends it to some intermediary up in the sky, and that intermediary then sends it back down to Earth. This process in its entirety takes about 3-4 seconds one way. So anything that we want to send to our propulsion module as well, our lander module, it will take 8 seconds for it to revert back that information. That's a lot of time. You're in space, let's not forget. Anyhow, that's on the side note. Today it's going to go a little closer to the moon. And how many of these deboosting maneuvers, Varghese?
Well, as of now, what they are looking at, today's maneuver will probably try to put it on a circular orbit and let its software slowly start recognizing on which to recognize the area where it has to land. So this keeps on going on, and then once that perfect calculation happens within its software, on 23rd we'll be ready to go there. But before that, Russia's Luna is going to land on 22nd. Because
it's not a competition, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a competition. Russia's Luna 25, 26, 27, anything can land. It's not a competition because we've done it in half the price, in half the resources. Their technology has been better for so long, and of course we picked up on the good things that Roscosmos has for us to share. Gaganyaan, that is something that we're looking at. Samudrayaan, that is something that we're looking at. Aditya L1 is out there trying to observe the sun. So India is making quantum leaps. We're only going to be the 4th nation on the planet
with
to attempt
interplanetary kind of exploration with our
One interesting aspect over here, ladies and gentlemen, that we must look at is the fact that yesterday, the former ISRO chairman G. Madhavan Nair, who was with us on the show, told us that humans have this tendency to capitalize on everything. The minute we find water, the minute we get to know that moon is inhabitable, we will make buildings, hotels, resorts, everything on the moon. We'll start digging out soil from the moon, send it back to Earth,
mining the moon.
All of that will change the density and the weight of
the mass
of our lunar body. And
see, the mass
is already shifting away. You don't want to mess with the solar system. We're seeing already what's happening on Earth, be it flash floods, these extreme weather events, only because we're testing the limits of Mother Nature. But don't test the limits of the solar system. That's I think my opinion here.
That was an interesting statement. The capitalization on the moon's exploration, probably looking at helium or trying to mine rare earth minerals or the kind of minerals that could be there on the moon. The biggest question being asked is, should you change the mass of the moon? Because right now they have data saying that it's moving away from Earth 1 inch. But if you reduce it, does it speed up that moving away, or does it lead to being influenced more by Earth's gravity to the point that the moon will be moving towards the Earth? I think exploration is fine. greedy mining should be
All right,
avoided.
I'm being told that, Union Minister Jitendra Singh, his reaction, we've got his reaction on Chandrayaan, most probably after the separation of the modules. Let's quickly listen into that and then we'll move on.
Chandrayaan has the history of collecting inputs which are exclusive, which are not been available even to the then Soviet Union or America or other space ventures which started up much earlier than us, because we started just in 1960s. For example, with Chandrayaan-1, which procured the pictures of the presence of water on the surface of the moon. For the first time, the entire world got awakened to the possibilities of directly or indirectly the human habitat being feasible on the surface of the moon, the relation of human life possibility in the moon's atmosphere. Now, this is something which had been bothering or stirring our imagination generation after generation. You would have literatures written on it, movies made on this, singing songs of the people living on moon. I mean, it's all matter of fiction. But for the first time, in reality, an attempt being made to find answers to these questions was initiated by Chandrayaan.
Well, all right. Big day again. You can, of course, count on News 9 for bringing you all the latest developments when it comes to Chandrayaan, when it comes to Gaganyaan, pretty much everything that's coming out of ISRO. We've got a special dedicated team that's sitting and just tracking developments coming out of ISRO and where Chandrayaan is. We've got a set of experts by now in the last 1 month now, Varghese. Varghese heading that team himself. Meanwhile, shifting our focus to Indore, Varghese, where a weird anomaly has taken place, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen people fight over pets. We've seen pets bite other people inside residential complexes. We've seen, quite violent skirmishes when it comes to pets. But these violent skirmishes turning fatal, you don't get to see as often. Now, this is what's happened in Indore in Madhya Pradesh. There was a quarrel between two pet owners that turned ugly, it turned nasty. You can see the man who's holding a gun. We've of course, blurred those visuals. We've had to blur those visuals because these are in fact violent visuals. We're also learning that this was a bank guard. That's why he had the rifle with him. He's also...
It's a licensed weapon, by the way.
It's a licensed weapon. 2 people have been killed in this fight over pet dogs in Indore. For all the latest details, my man Varghese. Varghese, what essentially happened? What was the quarrel all about? And before I go to you, in fact, if I'll just confirm with the control room, any reactions on this? Of course, let's play out a reaction coming from the police forces first.
में सबसे पहले एक पड़ोसी है जो अपना कुत्ता घुमाना के लिए बाहर निकलता है और दूसरे पड़ोसी का कुत्ता भी उस समय था। सबसे पहले 2 कुत्ते आपस में झगड़ गए और कुत्ते झगड़ने से जो पड़ोसी थे कुछ लोग उसमें इकट्ठा हो गए और जब कुत्तों का झगड़ा एक दूसरे उसको हटाने के लिए या ये था कि आपस में न कोई झगड़े तो प्रयास किया गया। इसी बीच विवाद और बढ़ गया। वहां कुछ लोग जो मोहल्ले के थे वो आपस में विवाद सुलझाने के लिए भी इकट्ठे हो गए थे। इसी बीच में एक जो जिसका कुत्ता था जो घुमाने ले जा रहा था वो अपने घर में गया, चूंकि वो गार्ड है और बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा सुखलिया में वो काम करता है। उसका नाम राजपाल राजावत है। उसने अपने ऊपर चढ़ करके और फायर किए। फायर उसमें 2 पहले हवाई फायर किए, उसके बाद एक फायर जहां जो लोग खड़े हुए थे एक जो नीचे की तरफ किया और ये जो डबल बैरल जो 12 बोर गन थी और इसी का उपयोग वो गार्ड के रूप में बैंक में किया करते थे। तो इसमें उस समय जो आसपास कुल इसमें 8 लोग घायल हुए हैं और इन 8 घायलों में से 6 लोगों को उपचार अभी चल रहा है और 2 लोग की इसमें डेथ हुई है। और मौके से जो गोली चलाने वाला जो राजपाल है और उसकी गन है, उसका जो लाइसेंस है, उसको जब्त किया गया है और इस पूरे मामले में अभी खजाना पुलिस के द्वारा कार्रवाई की जा रही है।
So that's the reaction coming across from the police, personnel. 2 people trying to walk their dogs. I mean, gussa is had tak pahunch jaye.
I mean, how can if you read that entire story, these people were walking with the dogs. The dogs have a kind of fight first, skirmish, and then it becomes an argument between both of you. And that heated exchange, one person goes and takes his licensed weapon and then shoots he fires in the air first and then he shoots straight into the people. 6 people have been injured, 2 killed, and all over 2 dogs fighting on the road.
Well, I mean, of course, one would laugh about this, something like this, but the local administration has to come out with the right kind of answers. Again, why a licensed gun was used, a rifle was used.
He's a security guard with a prominent bank also.
With a prominent bank, misusing his particular
licensed
weapon. And on the ground as well. I mean, people will instantly put the blame on the voiceless creatures over there who are just...
See, dogs are territorial.
Doing what dogs do.
I mean, they are territorial. They, of course, will have kind of this thing against each other. But that doesn't mean that you go ahead and have an argument in a manner that leads to the deaths of two people. It's not... I'm not pontificating about what we are trying to preach. But the fact remains is that this is really, really... abnormal. I mean, a skirmish between dogs turns to the deaths of two people, and a person goes ahead and fires.
So the accused has been arrested, Varghese.
Yeah,
his rifle has been seized. 6 people got injured. 2 people now dead after a fight over pet dogs turns ugly in Madhya Pradesh's Indore. Visuals that are on your screens, of course, we can't show them. We'll have to blur them because, these are really violent shots.
It's a double-barrel gun he in fact
Police has
used.
been on the ground. We just heard the police's reaction. Everything next, that's upcoming, we'll have to wait and find out as to where the probe essentially leads us, and if there is going to be a bigger precedent for all future cases, how to handle your pets, and the dog menace is something that people start talking about before even knowing that the dogs can't speak for themselves, and a dog will do what a dog is supposed to do. I mean, that's the dog's brain, but we're busy, pointing fingers on each other, blaming each other
the
for
dog
it.
will
No
react
work essentially being done on the ground.
The dog will react according to its evolutionary character. That doesn't mean that people with senses are going to...
And pets also, Varghese. People should understand that, getting a pet is not like getting a stuffed toy back to your home. You need to understand the temperament, the temperature, the wildlife, treat it with a scientific backing, a logic and reasoning, and of course, give it the love that one requires. Not just your pets, the other one's pets also. Otherwise, otherwise the pets are going to continue fighting, and gun violence is going to take place on the side. You'll have people die, people injured, but the pets will continue to fight. Meanwhile, that's all the time we have for you in this show. Hopefully covered a lot more. At 2 p.m. we've got a Kerala Christian story, Christian-based story coming from Kerala.
We have a very interesting story about 2 p.m. about how one of the oldest churches, and probably something that is going to be quite a pain for a lot of people as well. One of the oldest churches is probably heading towards split in Kerala.
Why so? What's the fault line all about? Varghese tells you at 2 p.m. Over on in the day, we'll bring you the latest updates from Chandrayaan. Later on in the evening, top global and international stories. And at 7 p.m., do tune into News 9 for the latest and the top debate of the day, the debate that you shouldn't miss out on, because it's not always, chillim chilly and screaming. We bring you balanced perspectives on a topic that one must talk about as well. This is Varghese P. Abraham and Kabir Naqvi signing off. Keep watching News 9 Live.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.